gonna bring that book. So there'll be no excuses.
The Branch Davidians were exercising their rights as they saw them. Freedom of expression, freedom of religion.
Someone's the son of God.
Freedom to carry guns. Waco was 30 years ago, and you might think, it's history, it doesn't matter anymore. But the aftershocks of Waco are still alive today, especially in the minds of many on the right and the extreme right of American politics, who wanted and still want perhaps to subvert democracy, who want to overturn the election result of 2020, who want to see Donald Trump back in the White House. Waco is still alive.
I destroy people like you. Their towers are desolate. Their streets are laid waste.
David Koresh believed he was the seventh and final prophet.
It's the same Christ who smites, reveals a judgment.
He would use emotional words like, he'll die in hell.
He was saying the apocalypse is real, Armageddon is real. We'll take you to a place of safety.
I found that pretty awesome.
Well, there's some statements in there that might make you a little bit happy.
Beverly was thinking she was onto a good thing.
It's a better way of living, a better way of thinking.
What is your name?
My name is Bernadette. I'm from London, England.
Sadly, Bernadette was a very different person by the time she went to Waco.
He gave them hope.
This day have I begotten.
But he was nothing but a two-bit street punk. It's total chaos.
Bullets are flying over me. We started to fire back now to defend ourselves.
It was vicious. They wanted to murder us.
We have what appears to be a fire going on right now.
Not knowing. The not knowing is the worst.
Your family is the greatest treasure you have in this life. Oh my God.
It was eternal life. That's why we went through with it.
I'm talking to you. If you want to keep playing that game, somebody's going to get hurt.
Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Nobody that was there that morning had any idea that 4 agents would be killed, 14 or 15 badly, badly wounded, teeth knocked out, shot all to pieces. We were all shocked.
You come point guns in the direction of my wives and my kids, damn it, I'll meet you at the door any time. And I'm sorry some of you guys got shot, but hey, I'll have to sort that out, won't he?
It was in prophecy, but who started it? Who started it the first? Who made it come true? The authorities, didn't they? They attacked us and they made it come true.
When they looked out their door on February 28th, the ATF was rushing at them with guns. They think the prophecies are being fulfilled.
The authorities were setting up roadblocks really to control the hordes of journalists who were descending. But the compound itself was quiet. I mean, it was almost an unprecedented event in American history.
One of the girls were shot through the head lying down, which is, she got up and she got a bullet through the head, you know, and after the ceasefire, I found Winston Blake, was a Seventh-day Adventist from Britain. I found him with a single gunshot wound to his head. God rest his soul.
At that time, we didn't know that he had died.
You're scared, you're worried, you're just watching what's going on.
Let's see one of the holes here. Here's one of them. That look nice.
When the FBI were called in to take over, like they were literally reading their papers on that Sunday morning, February 28th, and there were all these dead people and wounded people. They had no idea. Somebody gave them my name, and the first words the FBI agent said to me after hello was, "Who the fuck are these people?"
The FBI is getting involved now, but it's kind of like getting into a fight where the little brother comes over and whips you, and then the big brother comes over to investigate.
I did not know of the raid until the afternoon of February 28th. I turned on the TV, and the first sight I saw was the ATF agent that was on the roof. It looked like he could have possibly been shot. The first steps we had to take was to establish a perimeter around the compound. Within 24 hours, we probably had close to 500 personnel.
We're not contemplating assaulting that compound at all.
The idea is to get them out safely, and that's the goal here. And that will be the British people will have the same treatment.
My name's Derek Lovelock.
And where are you from, Derek?
I'm from England.
You just had to deal with it. So people are really scared. We're thinking, right, they're coming back to get revenge and kill us all.
Prophecies are being fulfilled as it's written in the Revelation.
This is one of the outside bunkers, the view of the compound.
They had snipers. What we got snipers for? What did they think we was? Snipers.
We have a couple of Kansas City's finest members of the SWAT team.
Owned to kill.
That's right. He's just like Rambo.
We did have to ask for Pentagon assistance because once we got in there, about the second day, we learned that they had 50 calibers inside, which those had the ability to easily penetrate vehicles. So we went to Fort Hood and we were able to find Bradley fighting machines.
Hear the tanks outside?
Yeah.
Scared?
Well, we're not evil. Are these crazy people or what? Tanks against civilians.
God speaks to me. I have a message to present. You may not believe that.
He preached an apocalyptic gospel, a prophecy that God was going to lead and the government was going to come against him and so forth. We sent in our negotiation teams. We brought in our behavioral science people to do a psychological assessment of the group.
I was the behavioral science agent on scene. I was working with the negotiators, listening on the phone with whomever we're talking to inside. Our strategy was to back off on the tactical end of it. Don't put pressure, because the pressure was strengthening the group cohesiveness, and we needed to dissolve that.
And it was a message to Melissa from her grandmother.
She'll see her soon, and she's looking forward to seeing them too, and for them not to worry.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Sandra. Just to say that I'm thinking of them. I'm thinking of my brother and my father. Lots of love.
Pardon me?
Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Not to worry in the faces and I could ever be in.
I'd like to tell you not to worry and that I will see you soon.
They made it sound like we could trust the government and we didn't have to be afraid anymore.
Koresh continues to negotiate by phone with FBI agents. This afternoon, they delivered medical supplies to the compound.
I felt a bit better now, a bit more calmer.
He could give an hour-long dissertation on the book of Revelation, his interpretation of that, how he was the anointed one, the prophet who could open the seals, and what this meant. And that it would be broadcast nationally on a Christian broadcasting network to the world.
Once David started negotiating with the negotiators about these tapes and coming out, thought of death and what's going to happen to us, I think that left us.
Maybe we won't have to die now. Maybe we're going to go out and it's going to end peaceful.
Okay, here we go. We're going to the tape of David Koresh.
I, David Koresh, agree upon the broadcasting of this tape to come out peacefully with all the people immediately.
We had the buses, we had it all set to go. And the tape was played for an hour, and we'd lived up to our agreement.
Let's work towards getting everybody out of there today.
They're dressed up, ready to go, so I'm hoping that, we'll have it done.
I was even downstairs waiting for them to come to get the children's things.
Everyone was excited. We were giving high fives to each other. We were all going to go back home again, and this was going to end peacefully.
Koresh, yesterday, he reiterated that he intends to come out, but is still waiting for a message.
Everyone, their hearts sank, and we were asking, what does that mean? He says, well, that's up to God. God will decide when it's time for this to end, but right now he's been told to wait.
It appears that keeping one's word does not necessarily apply to Mr. Koresh.
Branch Davidians believed that they were the end-time community, that they were the chosen people. God had told them to stay, according to Koresh. To go out of the building would be, in effect, to turn one's back upon God.
This is Steve Schneider, by the way.
I feel quite safe here, and there's no reason for me to leave.
There's someone holding you here against your will.
No, nobody's holding me against my will.
The third week was when I left. Eventually we were going to get to see our family, our children, and everyone would be coming out.
We're all shocked and thinking, what on earth is going on? What's this all about? Why is this happening? We genuinely believed that Cliff wasn't even in there at that time. There was very little that we could do. We didn't have, nobody came to us. We tried to ask the authorities if they could find out, and nothing happened. We just didn't get any help or any response at all. And I think we just felt totally helpless.
Does anyone here want to leave, and are you being held against your will?
No way.
I was really concerned because my flesh and blood was in the compound. I'm not going to see my family alive again.
What is your name?
My name's Bernadette. I'm from London, England.
As sisters, we were very, very close. She was a year younger than me. She was fiercely protective of me, always holding on or linking onto my arm.
I'm here on my own free will. I'm not being held hostage, and we are a big family.
The British authorities found out about Brits being in Waco, when we started contacting them, there wasn't the chance for families to talk directly with their loved ones to persuade them to come out.
Negotiators, I think they could have been there forever, but the hostage rescue team, however, though, their patience had already run out, to be honest, particularly for guys who were murderers. This thing is past its due date. It's time now to take some action.
The second level window basically is the doghouse to Koresh's apartment.
We were at odds with those who wanted to increase tactical pressure. The basic strategy is this: you punish the behavior you don't want, and you reward the behavior you do want. Tragically, we were doing just the opposite. When the negotiators would get people out, the commander would decide, well, we're going to cut power, or we're going to take some aggressive action against them. The negotiators were totally opposed to this playing of music, shining bright lights in there, playing sounds of Tibetan chants.
Psychological warfare, in my eyes. They even made a mockery of us, and drove up the tanks right to the window and played These Boots Are Made for Walking. Crazy sounds like that to wear us down. Sleep deprivation, and there's little children in there.
The tactical team, HRT, they didn't understand what we were doing. They'd be all upset that we were sending in food, milk, and what the hell are you doing? Let's starve them out. The FBI leadership would hold a press conference to update the media and the public in general as to where we were. We would script those conferences ourselves. Davidians would watch. So the press conferences had to mirror the negotiations. Where it went off the track was during the question and answer period.
When you have a letter from God, to me, that's a pretty big event.
The trivializing of David Koresh reflects frustration by the FBI.
From the outside, we may look and go, this is craziness. But no, don't tip over the dignity domino. Their dignity must be respected.
As time wore on, after about a month, I was fairly convinced in my own mind that they probably were never going to come out.
I thought that there was no one in the country that needed a lawyer more than David Koresh did. The only ethical advice that a lawyer can give to a client or potential client who's wanted by the police is you have to surrender. So we basically had a plan in place for that to happen.
I knew that the Branch Davidians would not surrender if it went against their understanding of what the Bible wanted them to do. Together with Dr. James Tabor, we began to understand the Branch Davidian opinions about prophecies better and better.
They thought he was sincere about his promise to give up, to surrender.
Dick DeGuerin said he was going to go inside and meet with David, and I gave him a tape recording of our radio program.
The closer I got, my boots started crunching on expended shells. When I first walked into the place, one of the things that struck me was the smell. It was a mixture of sewage smell and garlic.
We began to suggest some things that David had not thought of. We used Bible references, and then we pointed them to Revelation 10, I believe, where it says there that the Lamb is to prophesy again to many nations. We made the point that his prophecy so far had only reached a few people, and therefore he should surrender so that the second phase of his work could begin, maybe from prison.
I think the whole week was a turning point. He had this one-page letter prepared for me. It was clear that he committed himself to coming out.
David wrote that he had received the word from God that the waiting period was over. David says all he has to do now, before coming out, that the waiting period is over, he has to write the meaning of the 7 seals.
What I want, David, is for you then to complete your manuscript, and I'll see you when you come out, David.
Okie doke. I better get back to my work then.
We'll look forward to it, David.
And I'll talk to you later then.
They were all celebrating. The British citizens, the American citizens, all the people were going to come out safely.
I didn't know that at that very moment, other FBI supervisors were in Washington, D.C., trying to convince Janet Reno to send in the tanks and tear gas.
It's almost like fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Now we're supposed to believe that this is the magic moment that we've been waiting for after all the other promises on which he failed to deliver, that this is the magic one. The Attorney General didn't believe it either. She thought that it had been too long.
Frankly, my belief is this is nothing more than a stalling technique. I mean,
I just hold the cord right off the wall. I could give a crap. Sir, now listen to me. When we believe in God, we look and see, and we've seen things unfold and so forth. If you think you're stalling, what that tank just did, you can go get you can get the Abrams. Go get 10 of those if you'd like, and run right through the entire building.
It was an embarrassment for the Attorney General. It had already been an embarrassment for the ATF. The FBI were embarrassed. To get out of this, they decided on a military solution.
David, Stephen, those of you remaining, you need to come out of that compound immediately. If you come out, no one will be harmed.
The gassing plant was going to be an extended plan for over a couple of days, but if we fired upon, then we would immediately increase the pressure.
Do not fire your weapons. If you fire, you will be fired upon.
No sooner than when we pulled up for the first gassing, we received fire. We probably had 10,000 rounds fired at us during that morning.
We were way back at this point, and I was taking a look at what was happening. I remember the tanks coming and just punching holes in it like it was paper.
I was absolutely horrified when I saw the first pictures. I could not believe that once again, the federal authorities were going in heavy-handed. The FBI, to everyone's astonishment, had simply lost patience.
What the hell is this? What is going on? Why are they doing this?
The gas you smell is a non-lethal tear gas. Exit the compound now and follow the instructions.
The tank come right through the front of the building, straight into the chapel, all the way back to the workshop, and so it gets barreled around like that. The people in that tank could have killed us and nobody known any better. That was really scary.
What we had to do was to force them more toward the middle of the building where the gas would be more effective.
These gas masks that we had only lasted for half an hour. I remember taking it off because it's useless, and I got a full spray of it in my eyes, and it made your eyes run, mucus come out of your nose, back of your throat's burning.
They seemed to think that once this tear gas or whatever they sent into the building, that everything was just going to be in a few hours. And I just kept thinking I eventually would see my other children.
Gas masks couldn't fit kids. And the FBI knew that. They were choking, you know, he was getting them in the face, the poor kids, and we had to put wet towels around them.
We had a Davidian female sitting in the marshal's office, and I said, "They're coming out." She said, "No way, Parnell, they will never come out." And I said, "They're gonna come out when that CS gas hits them." She said, "Not a chance."
The belief was that the motherly instincts would overtake the fear of David and would cause them to bring their children out.
The maternal instinct did kick in, but they need to be kept safe within the building, not outside of it.
I can only imagine that everybody in there was just trying to protect each other. They could have walked out, but they probably wouldn't know what they were walking out to.
You started seeing smoke curl up.
We have what appears to be a fire going on right now, raging at the Branch Davidian compound.
I was in the chapel and there's somebody shout fire. I saw this ball of fire rage from the back of Mount Carmel away to the front. I had to jump back. It just happened so quick.
I saw fire start at one end, and within minutes, the whole building was engulfed.
It was like you'd see in a movie where, you know, somebody had a torch and they were just lighting different areas of a barn. It was going up quick.
Can you just imagine what the families of the people inside must have thought? Because they were watching this on CNN, on all the 24-hour channels, presumably utterly horrified.
I had come home from work and the phone rang and my mum was on the other end of the phone. And she said, "There's been a fire." And I said, "What fire?" And my mum said, "Just put the TV on." And she hung up on me. It was a surreal experience. The thought of knowing that my sister would never come back. It was the first time I heard my dad cry out in pain.
All I could do was stand there and watch the fire just keep going from one side to then the next. I thought, they'll get out. I still kept thinking that they were still alive.
It was in full inferno right in front of us. I kept thinking, they're going to come out.
The place is burning up and it's getting hot and you can feel it on your back. It was so hot in there, it melted kitchen appliances. I recognised some of the voices and I heard them scream out and I knew that the flames had reached them.
It's a mix of emotions and realizing little kids were dying right in front of us, and mothers, and David Koresh.
It was like a dream. Oh my God.
I thought, I'm getting out of here through this hole that they punched in there. I don't want to die like this. And I got out.
Come out of the compound with your hands up, carrying nothing.
And we had our hands up, and they had the guns trained on us and said, walk forward and keep your hands up, walk forward, and they made us lie down, face down on the ground.
I just watched in abject horror as that was just engulfed. 9 people came out, but that wasn't what we wanted. There were no children coming out. That was horrible. Yeah.
All of them, the children, my husband, David, they're all gone. They all died.
I heard about some escapees. I just thought my family must have escaped the fire. Oh God. But when I was told my family wasn't among them, I couldn't believe it's true. And it's like God was crying through my tears.
I take full responsibility for the implementation of the decision. Yesterday's action ended in a horrible human tragedy.
Where their compound once stood, there was only rubble. It had resulted in the deaths of 76 people, of children, of babies. The fires were still smoldering, but everything was over.
Doris Fagan, Philip Henry, Stephen Henry, Zilla Henry, Diana Henry, Vanessa Henry, Paulina Henry, Winston Blake, Livingston Malcolm, Rosemary Morrison, Melissa Morrison, Daisy Martin, Yvette Fagan, Bernadette Monbelli, Sandra Hardale, Beverly Elliott, John McBean, and Cliff Sellers. I understood how important it was to identify these people for their loved ones. They'd been categorized in some areas of the press as being weird, wacky, Waco people, which was quite wrong, quite wrong. They were decent, good, honest people from caring families.
Bernadette, her remains were found just behind the front door of the compound. I went to the funeral home, and when I said, I would like to pick out a dress for my sister, and the funeral director, she put her hand on my hand and she said, Gail, in this case, it wouldn't be necessary.
When we got the post-mortem back, they said that Cliff was found with other bodies and his arms was round them and in the protective way. Mum had a parcel delivered to her house, and it was Cliff's ashes. They just literally came through the post. And Mum was absolutely disgusted. It just shows a complete lack of care.
There was 13 or so children under the age of 5 years. There was babies, there was toddlers, there was infants found in that fire on the final day.
Of the 9 who survived the inferno, 2 are British, Derek Lovelock and Renus Avram. 1 today denying that any cult member started the fire.
We had kerosene lanterns, Coleman light, and even in the daytime, there's only a bit of light. So I believe that the tanks went in there and knocked them over.
We did not knock over any kerosene barrels. We did not start any fires. We sent no pyrotechnic devices inside. All of those fires were started by the Davidians. My belief is that David thought, okay, now the assault is starting, and that we are now going inside. And his goal was always to kill as many of his own people as well as many of us as possible.
Things are good, right? Come on, come here.
I think you can hear fairly clearly on those tapes that preparations are being made for a fire, that fuel is being poured, straw is being put in certain places. 3 fires started almost simultaneously within a few minutes of each other at 3 separate sites. Fire accelerants, gasoline, whatever, were found at all 3 of those sites.
But I told the FBI 2 days before, if they went in, they would burn the place down. And I showed them that fire was what he was going to do. I showed them that several times. And that was because of the prophecies.
Who amongst us shall dwell with the what?
Devouring fire.
All the prophecies talk about this.
Get this. Women are going to set these mighty men, these huge warriors, on fire.
Fire is clearly aligned with their expectations about the end of the world. This expectation of going through a baptism by fire as the mechanism by which they would enter into the new Davidian kingdom was certainly live in David Koresh's and Steve Schneider's minds. Now, whether the others understood the full horror of this, I think is another question.
David Koresh, he believed that God wanted him to protect the women and children and to protect the community by lighting up a fire. Because in one of the Bible prophecies, the people of God will be protected by a wall of fire around them.
A lot of my friends in England who are now still again one day. They may not as I am now, but they will still one day.
This is a life and death situation, and I want to live eternally.
Well, at the beginning, I believe it was David Koresh started the fire. I came to know and believe that it was started by the Americans. For the Americans, as you know, and everybody in the world knows, might is right.
They blame us, the people that believe that we started the fire, that we were out there to kill these people. And that's not it at all. We were there to try and save those people. But how do you protect people from themselves?
I just wish nobody died. I wish he was still here. The kids and everybody torments me at times. And I still see the kids in my mind, you know, like they're alive in my mind, if you understand what I mean.
So simple, it's hard to see.
The defendants, 3 of them British, say they were defending their home against a needless and reckless attack by the authorities. They say there never was a conspiracy to kill.
As you know, 6 Davidian dies and 4 agents. Then they tried to get us for conspiracy against USA. Then they tried to get us for murder, and all those charges were dropped. So it was called justifiable homicide.
Renus Avram from London, acquitted like the others of the most serious charge, but guilty of an offence that may mean 10 years in jail. Livingston Fagan from Nottingham. Witnesses say he shot US agents. The jury said there was no conspiracy to murder.
The late Janet Reno, the Attorney General, authorised that raid. Her contribution was that if children were in danger, then don't go ahead. Well, by default, collapsing a building, firing tear gas is, by any stretch of the imagination, a risk to the children inside. There was gunshot wounds, and there was deaths from smoke inhalation, carbon monoxide. Ultimately, we were able to tell the families what had happened to their loved ones. So we gave them that.
They'd done the DNA from my mum and dad, and they'd identified Cliff's body. And horrible as it sounds, a kind of a sense of relief, because the not knowing, as we've always said, the not knowing is the worst.
The coroner recorded open verdicts on 22 of the 23 British victims. 11 were from the northwest.
We had no direct responsibility for killing those children, but our actions, obviously, we would have to say was one of the causes which caused the death of those. We cannot walk away and say we have no responsibility. We will always carry that with us forever.
All they were seeking was spiritual enlightenment. If there was one thing that they were guilty of, that is that they fell for the deceit and lies of an evil man. It was tragedy. It was tragedy.
Exactly 2 years after Waco, the biggest terrorist attack America had ever seen happened.
168 men, women, and children paid the price for his warped fantasy that the American people were ready to rise in civil war against the federal government.
Timothy McVeigh and some of his compadres attacked the FBI Alfred Murrah Federal Building, and they blew it up, killing 168 people.
Just arrived today.
He said that what had inspired him, what had angered him, was what happened at Waco. Timothy McVeigh wanted revenge for Waco, took that revenge on the FBI, on the ATF, and sadly on American civilians. The victims of Waco are not forgotten by those people on the right who wanted and still want perhaps to subvert democracy. The freedoms that they believe were enshrined in law, the freedom to carry weapons, the freedom of expression, freedom of religion, were turned against them.
And 2024 is the final battle. That's going to be the big one.
Your heart is still in pain 30 years later. We're blessed to have known David and all the truth that he has given us. We still believe in the future. He's going to make us ready for the things that are about to be.
Prophecy is not writing in a book. It's a living agent. But whether you believe that or not, that's your choice. But it doesn't stop my faith from believing what I believe. I'll take it to the grave with me, if that's the case.
Uncle Winston, for me, he treated everyone like his family, you know? Yeah. Full of jokes and laughter, and loved his food. That's what I would like to remember.
Just loved people.
Yeah.
I would walk around the street and look and see if I can see her. You cannot do a complete closure because in the back of your mind, you're still thinking, is Beverly still alive out there?
Your family is the greatest treasure you have in this life.
There's some days when it's difficult to accept that she's not around. I've been robbed of a sister. My mum and dad were robbed of a daughter, and we're the poorer for it.
Everybody that knew him will remember him the way that he was. His big smile, his big heart, being talented at many, many different things. And he's my big brother.